it wouldn't surprise me if there were those of you out there who didn't realise this happened in Australia. But yes, we have sufficient frost to mean that the bird bath is completely frozen over, although not to any great depth, but nevertheless, as you can see, it's a lovely crisp morning and the birds are making do with their secondary water supply, so don't worry about that. And unlike, say, in Scotland where I lived previously, before too long that will actually melt. In Scotland that would have stayed solid for months. I'm heading over to the potting shed for the purpose of collecting my reciprocating saw. This morning is the morning I have set aside for beginning work on the route to the swimming pool. I'm not too sure what piece of equipment I'm going to need, but the reciprocating saw tends to be a good start. I thought I'd walk there via the creek walk path rather than down the drive, just so I can have a look and see if any more of those pomaderus have fallen over, such as their wont. I'll catch up with you when I get to my destination. Okay, so just to recap, this is the task that lies before me. I have come along the creek walk, along this bit of the footpath, and if I turn around and were I to head up this hill, I'd come out to the drive there, and directly ahead of me up there is the Mr. Darcy walk. So just for context, the house is sort of roughly over there. You may be able to hear the creek tinkling away. It's just over there, and in about this area is what we call the swimming pool, which is a big area that's clearly being dug out by hand, I assume to be used as a swimming pool, although Will and I have never done that. And after the bushfire, all of these plants and trees have regenerated, replacing the ones that we lost. But we have a lot more than there were here before. They'll eventually sort themselves out as they vie for space and light, but there was a little footpath here to the swimming pool, which has now been overcrowded. And what I'm going to try and do this morning is reopen this footpath, and then we can go and have an explore and I can show you the swimming pool. Looks like the reciprocating saw is going to be the ideal job for this because these plants aren't huge yet. But we'll see as we get going. Hopefully you can see that progress has been made. So this is the path. I'm going to get Will with the big boy chainsaw to deal with this fallen tree. We'll just take out a section and leave the rest for nature. But as you may have caught a glimpse of, I've had to revert to the big boy tool because I've got to this part here, and the way is strewn by these fallen pomaderus. As I say, this is what pomaderus like to do, they just like to fall over. And this part of the track is already sort of pretty tricky as it is. You may be able to see that the floor here is more comprised of river gravel. So in big rains, where I'm stood now probably would be submerged. But, you know, you wouldn't really come down here in that case. So that's fine, I don't mind that. But any sort of trip hazard is just going to make life very difficult, and you may just be able to catch there a little glimpse of the swimming pool. So what I'm going to do now is process up this pomaderus, which I will keep as firewood, and then reassess the situation. And the last task I will have is to come down with the brush cutter and tidy up the floor level. But first things first, let's deal with this. We've made it. Here's a nice close-up look of our swimming pool. As you can see, it's quite a size, though not very deep. So, no diving or bombing. The creek wends its way into the swimming pool from this channel, fills the swimming pool, and then sneaks behind that spit of land and wends its way this way. And as you can see, we even have a private beach. Sort of sand of sorts. Yeah, as you can see, maybe has got quite sheer sides, but I can see the bottom from here. It's not overly deep. We believe that this was dug out artificially to essentially dam a part of the creek, because this bank over here, which is also part of our property extends beyond the creek, but this bank here has always looked artificial to us. So we assume what's happened is this hole's been dug out and then the soil's been piled up over there to create this dam. I don't know if originally this was created as a fire fighting measure or if in fact it was created as a sort of plunge pool. Suffice it to say, we don't go in there. It's sort of one of those things where in the summer it's usually so dry, there's not enough water to make it worthwhile, and in the winter it's so cold, it's not really worthwhile. Plus also, as I've mentioned previously, the minute I heard that snakes can swim underwater, that put me right off. Anyway, it's a very pretty spot. I love it down here. The creek part of the property is my absolute favourite part of the property. If we head over here, we can see where the creek goes. Reduced to a tiny little stream at the moment. And it goes this way and off our property. The height of the swimming pool does fluctuate. It can go higher than this, and obviously it can go lower. So it's not reliable. What I'm going to do now is finish off the work by fetching the wood and material I've collected up to the top of the hill, and then bringing the brush cutter down again. And then I will show you the finished product, but I'm very pleased with how this morning's gone so far. And at this rate, I'm thinking I will have time to start work on and possibly finish the Mr. Darcy Walk extension loop. So, without further ado, I better crack on. Here we go then. Job done. Courtesy of the old brush cutter chainsaw and reciprocating saw. I was even able, as you can see, to use my chainsaw to extricate this section of log, which is currently laying here. Not sure what we'll do with it, but all I know is it's too heavy for me to move it any further than there. Now, as you can see, the path is now clear and passable, with one exception. This section of log here, again, I was able to chainsaw it, so it is now free. But if anything, this section is even heavier. So whilst I don't need Will's help with the chainsaw, I will need his help shifting this obstacle out of the way. But as we progress, the way is now clear to the swimming pool. Here I am yet again, And then looking back, path wends its way like that. A nice morning's work. One more job ticked off the list. So for my final update of today, I am heading away from the back of the house up the initial stages of the centre path. So I've got a fire break to my left and the Mr. Darcy walk to my right, because as I discussed previously, I have been able to turn my attention to the Mr. Darcy walk extension loop, which you may or may not be able to see. It goes here, so I thought we'd walk along it. This first part of the path essentially I've re-established because it was in existence but became slightly overgrown, and then we turn to a little extension of this path to the right, which goes down here and hooks up with the footpath which goes to the bridge, which is down there. So there's this little linking path between the two, and as you can see it also leads on to the new wood store. But if we carry on this way, I'm just going to pick up these bits of tea tree which escaped. Hopefully you can see. Then we sweep to the right, down the hill, which does leave the question about what to do this way. That's a question for another day though, because what we're going to do is follow the path down the hill, which at this point is basically an existing animal track. They're handy because the animals will continue to use the track, and the more a path is used, the easier it is to keep clear. Now here we are at the channel I've shown you previously, where the water comes in from the neighbour's pond and wends its way down the hill under the bridge to our pond. This is the section where we're contemplating how best to bridge it, because it's going to need some sort of bridge, but for now we're just going to walk across it. And then we meet up again with the existing animal track. And then we open up to the confluence of the path that goes to the gate, the top of the Mr. Darcy walk, and the footpath over the bridge and back to the house. So as you can see, I've got a nice new little loop which comes here for a bit more of a forest experience. I'm pleased with that. I can't wait to show Will when he gets home. That new brush cutter has really sped things up. That's taken me maybe about an hour to do that. With my other equipment, I think I would have been looking at the better part of a day, if not more. So that is excellent. You really can see the difference having really good tools makes. And now we're just flying through these projects on the property. And the other thing is that now the footpath's created, since I've got the brush cutter, it'll be much easier to keep it clear as well. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm off for a well-earned rest.